So, next item on the agenda is the discussion and or action of the consolidation plans or facility master plans that were presented at all the open SMMA workshops. Do I have a motion for discussion and or action at this time? Okay, at this time I open the floor for discussion. Ms. Bacchus.
I think I'm the lone person that voted for didn't give the same opinion as everybody else. But last evening, or actually early this morning, I received an email from Nina Savage, who was very much a part and did an awful lot of work, and excellent work at that, on the whole plan and RFP. And she sent us all an email, and I'd like to read it now. Dear School Committee, Chairperson Ahern, et cetera, et cetera. I was at the meeting this evening, and I watched with great sadness and frustration as the hard work of so many people started to unravel. It is not too late to preserve the integrity of this process and allow the committee's choice to be implemented. As you know, I was part of the team that drafted the request for proposal for the strategic plan. We understood that the process for decision-making is an integral part of the decision. We approached drafting of the RFP methodically, with respect for different perspectives and ideas, and with certain guiding principles that we all agreed upon. These guiding principles were: 1, that the plan must take into account educational outcomes and best practices that ensure that Warwick students receive the best educational opportunities. 2, that a long-term strategic educational and facilities plan is necessary for the preservation and success of Warwick as a vibrant and desirable community for all residents. 3, that it is necessary to have a thoughtful, engaged process that allows all key stakeholders to have a voice in the future of the school district. 4, that there be tangible deliverables that may be used by the school committee and school department to engage in effective, cost-efficient, short-term and long-term planning. 5, that a partnership with the City Council, Mayor, School Committee, and School Department is critical to the success of this plan. 6, that there be equity and fairness in the process and solutions proposed and chosen in the plan. The actions of certain members of the school committee over the last week has undermined the integrity of this process and is, once again, creating stress, mistrust, and a lack of confidence in the school committee's ability to make a decision consistent with the guiding principles stated above. The sudden rush to act without a detailed action plan and understanding of consequences, both intended and unintended, is not in the best interest of students. I would go on to say that it's probably not in the best interest of anyone affiliated with the schools or who cares about the schools or the students. I went to 3 workshops, including this evening, and these are the facts. At last Thursday's June 4th workshop, the purpose was to discuss the final 2 options, options 5 and 7. Mr. Fournette announced at this meeting that on Monday, June 8th, a 3rd option would be considered because he had received an email. He would not identify the source of the email, the 3rd option, or why it was being injected at this point in the process without any prior notice. tonight's meeting, last night's meeting, Mr. Frenette said he received the email regarding the new third option late Friday night, when he had already announced the email the night before, last Thursday. At tonight's meeting, the plan introduced was the plan previously discussed for over 1 year and rejected widely by the community. At tonight's meeting, the plan introduced was the plan previously discussed for over 1 year and rejected widely by the community, teachers, students, parents. The plan to close Aldrich and Gorton, turn Warwick Vets into a super junior high school with 2,000 students, which would make it the largest in the nation, and have 2 magnet high schools. This option, discussed for the first time tonight, was not previously part of any notice, announced, discussed, and its source was shrouded in mystery. Option 7, the 3-campus, 2-school model, was the option with the highest score, accepted widely. Recommended to be the best for educational objectives, ensured parity, and recommended by the consultant. Tonight, or last night, as I said, the school committee voted unofficially to choose option 5, although no vote was listed on the agenda. There is an agenda item for tomorrow's school committee meeting for discussion, action, closure of Gorton or Aldrich. Choosing to close schools before an action plan or a decision is made inserts additional stress. Plus, we tabled that, I think. Yes, we did. Well, there was, did we table it, or did we just say no? We tabled it. Terry and I said just say no. The school committee acknowledged last night that there exists disparity between Tollgate and Windman and Warwick, Pilgrim, Gorton, and Aldrich. There is disparity in facilities, technology, and course offerings. Option 5 will continue the gap in parity between Tollgate and Windman and the rest of the city. It will result in educational disruption for a part of the city that is already at a disadvantage in terms of resources, facilities, and educational opportunities. The focus for the non-Tollgate Windman students will not be education, but closing schools, reconfiguring schools, changing schools, which will result in a shifting of attention away from educational objectives for administrators, teachers, students, parents. The option is detrimental to students. There were comments made tonight that the current 3-campus model does not have parity. This comment ignores the key concept of a school within a school model. In closing of 2 junior high schools and the project-based educational delivery system, which will shift the focus to achieving educational goals instead of transitioning to new schools, all students will face minimal educational transition with a new technology-based educational delivery system. Option 7 achieved the highest score in the review by SMMA, results in a greater focus on education, preserves continuity for most students, and allows the city to meet facility objectives. She says, please do not make a decision which causes upheaval for students, teachers, administrators, and parents, and undermines every guiding principle that we have worked so hard to achieve. Please choose option 7 and develop a schedule. Please choose option 7 and develop a schedule that provides students, parents, teachers, and administrators a reasonable opportunity to implement the plan effectively. Thank you, Nina S. Savage. I couldn't have said it better myself.
No, she's at work. She's working tonight on state
I
legislation.
have the utmost respect for her, and I send my thanks for all the work she's done.
Mr. Nato. You're gonna have to speak loud, Mr. Nato.
Karen,
Mr. Nato,
could you read the part of that, and the first two sections of it, where the members of the school committee were demeaned and insulted,
Well deserved.
put into a light that was unbecoming and disrespectful? Would you read those three things again?
no, I will not. I will say that people have a right to state their beliefs, and she signed it. She believes in what she said. She said. Part of the democratic process, and she worked I can't tell you how hard she worked on that strategic plan. But if we didn't have her, oh my God. Camille, am I wrong? No.
Well,
You got a copy of it.
I have a copy of it, certainly. But if those are the applause lines from, I'm speaking.
It's not, folks, it's
When
not.
I am not going to sit up here and listen to those kind of, I don't care who wrote it. They're disrespectful. We don't,
There was nothing disrespectful. I didn't say that you did. She said that you undermined it. What's disrespectful about that?
Mr. Nato, yes, let everybody he can have his opportunity to speak. Ms. Bacchus spoke for Ms. Savage, so please allow Mr. Nato to have his time to speak. You will all have your time at the end of the night to come before us at the microphone and have your opportunity to speak. Mr. Nato.
thank you. Even I can laugh at that. But, ladies and gentlemen, I would never demean any one of you. I have never done it in my 4.5 years. The teachers know how I have spoken for 4.5 years on their behalf. You're making my point. You're making my point. As educated individuals, you're making my point. I couldn't put it any better. And if you think it's funny, it isn't. We have decisions to make, and we don't take them lightly. There's 82,000 people in this city. And I hope we represent them. But I'm not going to have the members of this school committee demeaned in any way because you think it's an applause line. It's not worthy of you. We've never done it to any of you. You may not approve of our actions. We accept it. But please, the respect must be had from everybody, from you and us. How else are you going to change and teach and put that into the children that we represent? You want them to hear this? Oh, all right, fine. I would imagine there was about 1/10 of the audience that said that. Yes. 12%.
All right, do you have any further comments? Any further comments? At this time, I will call the official vote of the two plans that came down to the end last night. We took option 10 off the table completely. So at this time, I'm going to call a vote individually for option 7. Mr. Nato.
No.
Nay. Ms. Juwan, I we had discussion. We're calling a vote. We're calling for a vote for option 7. The last two that were left. So, Mr. Nato, option 7 is a no. Ms. Furtado, option 7, no. Ms. Medeiros, option 7. Sure.
We had 2 options that were presented to us that are making for change in the community. I looked at everything I could possibly look at. And I have to say, to be quite honest, there was one thing I didn't hear until last night, which then caused me to do some searching today. And it came from a young girl who's a pharmacy student. I can't remember her name.
Emily.
Thank you. My concern for the last few years has been sports and the lack of added strength to the teams, higher divisions. I've been looking into that for a while, studying the state law, how you can do sports, change sports, and my most impressed team in our city has been the girls' hockey. Girls' hockey played without fanfare, without whining, paying for their own ice time. 3 schools united playing sports in the one city that we live in. Not 3, but 1. And they are a role model for the rest of us. When I tried to see, as we are moving forward in understanding the change in our community, could we possibly start unifying sports as a way to merge forward? And there is no way to do that, and it's a long, complicated process about population, surrounding communities, how many schools you have, so that's not an option. But one thing that stood out to me last night was the inability for students to take every AP class offered because of the lack of students signing up for it. And that is part of our population. We have wonderful special ed departments, we have wonderful sports departments, we have wonderful honors department, and I have to look at each one equitably. And you all don't agree with that, but I don't have the luxury of only having one opinion, one bias. I don't have that opinion. So I look at every single one of you and tell you that I exhausted everything that I could get my hands on. So for anyone to say that I didn't do my due diligence, or that any of us didn't do our due diligence, that we didn't spend hours, that we didn't listen, I was on the phone this afternoon and answering as many emails as I could. And still, when we were in executive session, trying to get some sort of data, because I just don't do data well. I do human feelings and emotions, and I keep thinking of being a 16-year-old and telling my friend that we may be divided going to other schools. And I know, someone told me last night, I had rocks in my head because I bring that into my equation because it's real. But I've heard other parents tell me, and last night a student tell me, that they are resilient. that they can move forward and that we as adults should be following suit. So I spent more time today, and although all of you won't agree with my vote, I want us to keep as much staff as possible and have creative classes, every kind of art imaginable, every kind of English imaginable, from American folklore to mythical, to jewelry lapidary, to pewter smithing. I research equitable communities in New England, not South Kingston, not North Kingston, not East Greenwich, not West Warwick, equitable communities in New England. And that's what we can have. And so when I make my vote, I want you to know that I looked at every department and the creative programs and the gym classes. I exhausted what I could exhaust. And still last night, there was one thing I missed. And it was that student telling me about the AP classes that affects getting into college. So just please keep in mind that I did everything that I could. And if you don't agree with my vote, I just at least want you to know what I've done. And, you know, that's all I can do is that. So now I have to make my vote.
Yes, option 7, Ms. Medeiros.
No.
Ms. Bacchus?
You know, I see option 7. Unfortunately, we're seeing it fading quickly, but I see it as something that we could do with this city to put the city on the map in a good way. I have a vision of things that we could do with 3 districts that we won't be able to do with 2. I don't know why, but I think we're passing up a great opportunity. But I still vote yes.
And while I understand and respect everybody's input into this process, I still feel whichever option were to be selected, it comes down to the village. It's the people and it's the students, and it's the people supporting our students that are going to make whatever decision whatever plan we decide to go with going forward, make it the best for our students. So whether or not the option is the option you want tonight, I really still hope that you can all climb on board whatever option is decided upon and move us forward in the best possible position for our students, because really, I do believe that's what we all really want. So my vote for option 7 is a nay also. So at this time, the vote stands at 4 against option 7 and 1 for option 7. I will call the vote. So I guess conversely, that would mean that there's 4 for option 5 and 1 against option 5. Okay, but I will call the vote. Can I please have a vote for option 5? Mr. Nato?
Yes.
Ms. Furtado?
Yes.
Ms. Medeiros?
Yes.
Ms. Bacchus?
Nay.
Option 5, I also say yes. So the motion carries for option 5, 4 in favor, 1 against.
Can you please explain option 5?
We've actually, you know what, the principal architect, Mr. Fournette, I thought I had seen him in
He's
the
in the
audience.
second.
Oh, sorry. Would you please just come up and give an overview of what option 5? I know we've had several meetings, more than 8 or 9, but at this time, would you please go over what option 5 is? Thank you.
Good evening. Option 5 is essentially 2 high schools, 2 middle schools, and two middle schools and the conversion of veterans into a middle school.
That's right. So it's the retirement of Aldrich and also Garden and the conversion of veterans into a middle school. That is what option 5 entails.
Vets, the best, one of the best schools.
Karen, they're all the best schools. They're all the best schools.
For athletics.
They're all the best schools.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fournette, for outlining that for us.